If you suffer from sacroiliac joint dysfunction and for whatever reason you have difficulty performing the types of exercises that are often recommended for these kinds of problems, then this is the video for you, because I'm about to show you 3 super simple but very effective exercises for building up that base level of strength and stability around your SI joints. Let's get into this. When I put out my first video on the SI joint a few weeks back, it got a very warm reception, and lots of people from this community chimed in saying how helpful the video was for them and how much they'd like to see a part 2 to that video that shows even more advanced exercises for the sacroiliac joint. That video is in the works right now. But there was also a small group of people that expressed concerns that the exercises in the first video were too difficult or too advanced for them. And so this video is going to focus exclusively on beginner level exercises that can all be done from a seated or a standing position. By the way, if you didn't see that first video, there's an important diagnostic test that I go over there that can help you determine whether or not you actually have an instability problem at your SI joint. I'll put a link for that video in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. And now, let's get to the exercises. Exercise number 1 is a resisted side step. The only thing that you're going to need for this is an exercise loop or resistance band tied into a loop. Once you've got that, just step into your band. I want to make sure that the band is positioned just above your knees. Now, you want your weight almost equally distributed on your feet, slightly biased back towards the heels. So think 60% of your body weight on your heels, only 40% on the balls of the foot. So you want to be nice and grounded and stable in your stance. Your knees should be bent just slightly, like 5 or 10 degrees, and your abdomen should be lightly braced. Now, starting out, your body weight is going to be equally distributed between the left and right sides. And then what you're going to do is you're going to slowly offload the heel on one foot. In this case, I'm starting with my left, and you're going to feel that limb get light, and the opposite limb is going to get heavy. So the heel on my right foot has become very heavy and sunk into the floor. This side of the body is now the anchor. And that's going to free you up to slide outward with the offloaded foot, slowly lower that heel towards the ground as you offload what was the anchor, and you shift the anchor over to the opposite side as you slowly allow that leg to slide in. Staying light on this foot, step back out, heel drops, offload the heel on the opposite side, shifting inward. As you shift the anchor from one side to the other, elevating that heel, you're going to feel the lateral hip stabilizers really kick on and engage. Sliding back in slowly, shifting the anchor from one side to the other, maintaining that good upright posture the entire time. Now, the goal with this exercise is to go back and forth continuously for 30 to 40 seconds. Just slow and controlled the entire time. Now, for anyone who's had a long history of pain or instability in the SI joint, you can still perform this exercise. You're just going to start off with a much smaller, more controlled range of motion. So exact same thing starting out, most of the weight on the heels, slight bend in the knees, elevate the heel, short step, heel drops, elevate the opposite side, and in. Back and forth. The slower, the better. Just going back and forth with that really controlled range of motion. Now, if you want to increase the challenge, simple. All you do is take a longer step. Starting off, elevate the heel. Super long step, controlled. Elevate. 30 to 40 seconds continuously, and you're ready to move on to exercise number 2. The second exercise is a seated push and pull. The only thing that you're going to need for this is a firm surface to sit on. Once you've got that, just take a seat, make sure that your feet are comfortably in contact with the floor and that they're positioned about 6 to 8 inches apart. Your knees should be bent to 90 degrees, toes are pointed straight out in front of you. From there, you're going to sit up straight and tall, and you're going to take both hands and position them on top of one knee. In this case, I'm starting with my left. From this position, you're going to try and lift that left knee straight up to the ceiling like this, while maintaining a good upright posture. And of course, you're going to be resisting that upward motion with downward pressure from your arms. The arms should make sure that the foot on the side that you're lifting never gets more than a 1/4 inch off the floor. So we're talking about a tiny amount of actual motion that takes place with this exercise. Now, you're going to be using your hip flexors and your abdominals to lift that leg, and the core stabilizers are heavily involved trying to balance you out and hold you in place and deal with these asymmetrical forces. So you're going to ramp up activation in those muscles slowly and steadily until you get to the point where you're pushing as hard as you comfortably can. Hold that push for 5 to 10 seconds, maintaining that good upright posture, and then allow those muscles to relax and the foot to drop down to the floor. Switch over to the opposite side and repeat, trying to lift that right knee up to the ceiling as hard as you can, making sure that the foot doesn't move very far off the floor, ramping up till you get where you're pushing as hard as you comfortably can. Push for 5 to 10 seconds, allow those muscles to relax, and drop back down to the floor. Now, what's so great about this exercise is that the harder you push upward on one side, the harder the opposite side has to push downward into the floor in order to counterbalance you and deal with those asymmetrical forces. And all of those forces have to pass through your pelvis and your sacroiliac joints. Now, these are the exact same types of asymmetrical forces that we have to deal with in the real world on a daily basis with things like walking and jogging, stepping off of curbs, getting into and out of vehicles, and going up and down stairs. So this is a great way of retraining those joints and the muscles that surround them to deal with those types of forces from a safe position. Now you're going to repeat this 3 times on each side, and then you're ready to move on to exercise number 3. The third and final exercise is seated isometric hip adduction. The only thing that you're going to need for this is a medium-sized ball. Soccer ball, basketball, rubber dodgeball, those all work great for this. From there, you're going to take a seat on a firm chair or a bench, and you want to make sure that you slide your rear end as far forward in that seat as you can comfortably go so that your hamstrings are hanging freely in the air. Your feet should be comfortably in contact with the floor and positioned about hip width apart, maybe slightly narrower, and your knees are going to be bent to 90 degrees. From there, you're going to sit up straight and tall, and you're going to take that ball and position it in between your knees just like that. Now, for anyone who's had a long history of injuries or instability or chronic pain in the sacroiliac joint, I'll typically start them off with this exercise from a supported position where their hands are placed alongside the chair just like this, or if they've got armrests, I'll make sure that their elbows and forearms are really in firm contact with those armrests. This is going to increase extrinsic support and make these people way more comfortable as they go through this movement. Then from here, what you're going to do is slowly ramp up pressure, squeezing inward with your knees, trying to crush that ball, getting to the point where you're putting as much pressure through that ball as you comfortably can, stopping short of any pain. And once you're pushing as hard as you comfortably can, you're going to hold that squeeze for 5 full seconds, keeping that good upright posture. After 5 seconds, allow that pressure to slowly come back down until those muscles are completely relaxed. Take the ball out, rest for 10 to 15 seconds, and then repeat 2 more times. Now, as you get more comfortable with this movement, or if you don't have that history of chronic pain and injury to that sacroiliac joint and you're looking for a little bit more of a challenge, what you can do is move from that supported position to an unsupported position with the same exercise. So the setup is exactly the same, except you're going to move your hands from the chair to an unsupported position where you go palms up on top of your thighs just like this, making sure that your elbows are not in contact with any armrest that could give you external support. And then from here, you're going to, again, slowly ramp up pressure. And what you're going to feel as you move into this unsupported position is that you're going to get a lot more activation in your deep abdominal stabilizers here as those muscles participate in trying to squeeze this ball from an unsupported position. Again, squeeze for 5 full seconds as hard as you comfortably can. Slowly allow that pressure to come back down. Take the ball out and relax. You would repeat that again 2 more times for 3 total sets. Now, as you get much more comfortable with this movement, you can consider increasing the length of time that you're squeezing to 10 or even 15 seconds. 3 sets of that, you're all done. This super simple routine can help create a foundation of strength and stability around the SI joints, and it only takes a few minutes a day. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments section down below which exercise in this series was your favorite. And if you need high quality exercise bands, I'll put links for the bands that I use and recommend in the description down below. Be sure to check those out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.